Hey, Rudy, I appreciate you joining me on this call or video today. Thank you for hopping on here with me. To get started, do you want to just tell everybody a little bit about your background, your name, where you're from, all that kind of good stuff? What do you do?
Yeah, so my name is Rudy Robles. I live in El Paso, Texas. I've worked multiple different jobs. I guess sales positions is what I've been working a lot recently. As we talked about earlier, I work sales for an IT company here in the area and got a degree in finance from the University of Northern Colorado and decided to join the team, join the group maybe in the beginning of this year, January or so. So kept
Nice.
seeing a lot of your Facebook ads. So I was like, let me check who this Carey Buck is.
Well, before we get in that, so you've been in sales for a while. What got you interested in like passive income and residual income?
Yeah, well, just coming from my finance degree and then also from my dad. My dad's always been a business person, so he always talked to me about the importance about building multiple streams of income. And
Nice.
I'd looked into different things. I looked into real estate, I looked into stocks, long-term investments, and
Hmm.
it was all great, but I felt like it required a lot of capital and very long time for me to reap those rewards,
Yeah, yeah.
which is still great. I'll build it as part of my strategy, but I wanted something that I could get that residual passive income now.
Hmm.
Looked into vending machines, and it looks like a great opportunity. It might be something that I might pursue later on, but ATM was something that I always kept. Like I don't know, it stuck to me because we used to have a gas station, and it was this older couple that used to come, and they were like 65, and I saw them, and they would come in and fill the machines. I was like, well, wait a second, you don't
Oh,
work for a
wow.
bank. I was like, you don't work for a bank. Like, is this your ATM? I'm like, yeah, we're private ATM owners, and I was like, that's a pretty sweet gig, man. And that kind of piqued my interest back in 2014.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So they're 65 years old. I think my oldest student is in their 70s.
Okay.
So that's awesome. All right. So what made you decide to get help with getting passive income from ATMs?
Well, I did some research, and everything I kept looking online, it just gave me, I guess, very broad information. Like it wasn't giving me the specifics on how to actually do it.
Okay.
I checked with a couple of vendors online, and it wasn't very friendly towards a person entering the business, right?
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, I saw some of your Facebook ads or Instagram ads popping up. So I'm assuming that at some point I searched for ATMs, and it just worked its magic, and saw a couple of your videos, and just the way that you carry yourself and you are in your videos. Like I thought it was very different from the other people that I kept seeing. Not very
Mhm.
salesy. It's more
Right.
like we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
And so after I researched into it, I called your guys and kind of spoke to them. I was like, you know what? Even I know I'm making an investment, but I know that the investment that I'm making is I'm going to get way more than what I think right now. There's a lot of things that I don't understand, and I know I'm going to get my money's worth. So I just knew that I needed that direction.
Okay. Well, what was your biggest concern with becoming a student of mine? So you didn't know me. You saw a couple ads of mine. Like, did you have any concerns with, talking to my guys and being like, oh, I'm going to hand over this money to this girl that just popped up on my Facebook feed or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what it is. I like to have that personal, like that ability to be able to message you and get a response and have a back and forth. And so you live very far from El Paso. So I was like, well, how
Mhm.
is she even gonna be able to provide me that service? Like,
Right.
what if I have a question? Am I gonna be able to get a hold of her? And but I quickly found out that through that Facebook group, I mean, you can get anything answered if it hasn't
Right?
been asked yet. So it's like very, very valuable. Because
Yeah.
at first, I'm not gonna lie to you, when they were telling me you'll get access to the Facebook group, I was like, how valuable can that
Lame,
be?
right?
But no, I quickly found out. I mean, there's so much info there, and
Oh, yeah.
you get an answer very quickly. So, but
Yeah.
that was my biggest concern. That was my
Okay.
biggest concern. Just that
That's
you're in
fair.
Pennsylvania and I was in El Paso. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's totally fair. So you got access to the Facebook group and then the coaching calls that are with me. And then, so you think I'm fairly active in the Facebook group? Like if you have questions?
oh yeah, I mean you like it right away, so it lets me know that you've seen it, and then you always
Exactly.
comment, and you're
Right.
always I mean, you're on top of it. I haven't seen a comment or even a question or a post that doesn't get some sort of engagement on your end.
Awesome. And not just me, but you have other students, of course,
Yep.
that participate. All right, awesome. So then you just decided to take the leap and say, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna jump into this training, and I'm gonna get cracking because I did my research and my due diligence. And is that kind of it?
I mean, pretty much is just I told myself I spend money on things that don't produce anything towards me. I've made investments in the past. I've looked into doing different types of businesses, and my dad always told me that, sometimes you got to take that leap of faith and see what happens, And so I was like, you know what? If it goes well, then great. If it doesn't, then I would have wasted this money on something else, So
Oh, look at you. All right.
yeah.
Awesome. So let me ask you this. You have a call, you say, yes, I'm going to do this. You start going through the training. How long did it take you when you got into the training for you to place your first ATM?
Well, it took me a while because the biggest thing that I was running into, the biggest hurdle was finding a bank here locally in the area. As you remember, I kept asking and asking because that was the biggest thing. But I just failed to consider El Paso as a border town. So Mexico's right across the border. And so money laundering is like super obviously, but it never crossed my mind.
There.
Yeah, it never crossed my mind, So, but so once I found a bank, I found a bank maybe about 5 months later, 6 months later.
Okay.
Once I found the bank, I mean, it was game over after that. It was about a week after that, after the bank.
Wow. So, okay, it took you, the longest time was finding a bank, which I find that's with people in California too. The longest thing is finding a bank. And then after you found that bank, 1 week, you got your first signed contract.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I went to work. At first, I was skeptical because I was like, let me get a client first. Let me put an ATM. And if they close it down, then I guess I can't get other ones until I find one. So when I was submitting the paperwork, I was like, I'm hoping they don't deny me. I hope that they don't just close my account mid-month. But I was like, screw it. Let's just go for it,
Nice. So tell us about that. Tell us how your journey was from the bank account to getting that first ATM.
Yeah, well, I'm working sales for my employer for what I do, so I'm already very comfortable with approaching business owners and trying to sell them goods. So that part is not intimidating to me, but just being able to go to a bank and getting that account and setting it up for your LLC and a checking account and everything is very exciting because it makes it official, right? At that point, I had done the articles of incorporation and everything, but it's not official until you got a checkbook. It's not official until you get statements, So once I had that and I had my paperwork, I was like, okay, it's time to put in the work. You've been saying this whole time the bank's holding you back. Let's see if it's true. So
there you go. I love that. Yeah.
But I just kind of hit the road one weekend and stopped by a bunch of different business places that I thought would be great ATM locations, like grocery stores that we've talked about. And they're mainly Spanish-speaking clients, so it's about getting them to understand the value of an ATM because they don't have the basics of finance. So first, I gotta make them grasp that concept and then talk to them about their business and how this benefits them. So sometimes it can feel like a harder sell, but I feel like I get the client because I take the time to educate them. So I think they appreciate that, which makes it an easier close for me. But
nice. So what was that first location?
First location was it's called Produce, and it's a little store in the middle of a neighborhood. Like you would never. It's a very rural area. You would never think that they get clients, but we approached the business owner, me and my dad. My dad's very entrepreneurial, so he's like, let me help you out.
That's awesome.
So we talk to the guy, and I approached the business owner. He's like, let me show you something. And he gives us a tour of the whole store, tells us how he built it back in the day, 30 years ago with his own bare hands, and just showing us different things. And he's like, let me tell you something. And then he pulls out like a wad of cash from under his drawer. He's like, this is what we do. We change checks, and you wouldn't think there's a lot of money here, but I got $20,000 right here just today. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, guy. He's like, all right, okay, what do I need to do? Let's do this. I was like, all right, thanks. Here you go. Here's the paperwork. Let's sign it.
Nice. That's what I call, Rudy, a diamond in the rough.
Yep,
That was
sure
that
is.
was our first Chinese place, diamond in the rough, man. So
It's
how's that spot do for you?
It's doing amazing. I mean, so far it's last month was its first full month of business. It got 147 transactions, just that
Nice.
location alone.
Nice.
Thus far this month to date it's currently at 87 transactions. So
Let me break out
mm,
my calculator. What surcharge you at?
325.
So for my calculator, 147 times 3.25. So last month, that's not
Yeah.
right. It did not make you $47,000. That would be amazing.
That'd be incredible.
So it made just under 500 bucks,
Yep.
477 bucks.
Yep.
That's not too shabby for your first spot, man, and your first month.
Yep. It's an amazing location, and it's looking like it's going to trend very similar this month with 10 days left in the month.
Yeah, now you're right now you're at 282.
Yep. So
Awesome.
it's a good spot.
Totally, I would say. Now, is that your only location, or do you have more?
Since then, I've been able to get 4 additional locations, so I got a total of 5.
Okay,
Um,
so
took
tell us about those.
yeah. So 2 of them have been very recently. So I did installs maybe about 2 weeks ago for one, and then the most recent one was last Friday. The other locations are doing just as well. Not as well as because that's just a diamond in the rough, right? But another one, it's a little bakery. It's maybe about 3 miles away from that other store. It's
Mhm.
currently at this month. It's currently around 60 transactions for
Okay.
month to date, so not bad.
Was that like $3 a transaction again, or 325?
325. I do all of mine 325 because I can always go down. That's the way I see it,
That's
right?
true. Easier to go down than up.
Exactly.
Your charges. Yep. Okay, go
But
ahead.
that one is doing well. It it hasn't even had a full month worth of history. Last month it finished out maybe 3 weeks out of the month.
Okay.
Thus far this month it's killing it. And my other location, it's like a meat market, a carniceria. It's just a Mexican butcher shop.
Okay.
That one does fairly well. You're looking at around 60 transactions a month. So it's a little bit slower. I found out that I forgot to put it in Spanish as one of the options.
Okay.
So I think that's what led to it doing poorly in the beginning. But now that I changed and I put Spanish as an option, the usage has spiked up quite a bit. So month to date right now, it's currently sitting at 40. So I expect it's going to finish around 60 as well.
Okay. So with your three right now, you're at like 867, roughly a month, and then you
Hmm.
have your two that you just. I mean, do you have any transactions yet with the other two you just
I
installed?
do. I do. One of them is very minimal. It's about 6 transactions. That's the one about 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
That one I'm a little bit concerned about just
Right.
because of the location.
Keep an eye
But
on it. Yeah.
the other one, the one I just placed on Friday, is it started out good. It already has 7 transactions since Friday, so it's a little bit. That's actually in El Paso, that particular spot. So I expect it to have quite a bit of volume. So
Okay. Nice.
it's looking good.
So hopefully with these, you're going to get over $1,000 a month.
Oh yeah, I'm hoping that this month I end up above 1,000. But if not, I mean, it's the long game. You know,
Right.
it's
Yeah, and
um,
and remember, Rudy, with that one that you were just talking about, if they don't do well, part of the game, the whole ATM game is picking it up and moving it, right?
yeah, yeah, that's right.
Awesome.
So
Go ahead.
no. I'll just give it some time, and if it doesn't change, because it's been increasing its usage as of recently,
Mhm.
so I think it will get better. That's one of the businesses that I didn't have any stickers for ATMs,
Okay,
so I'll be getting those in the mail. So I'll be putting those in that location and
great,
buying something to place outside to help out. But if it
great.
doesn't do well, I'll just change it out. It's no big deal.
And you can always put those signs up, like the signs, like the ones that I posted in the group that I got
Mm-hmm.
done in Spanish,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
obviously for appropriate places.
Mm-hmm.
Those help too, and they're not expensive. I think it cost me like $4.50 each to get them made.
Yeah. I mean, it's a minimal expense that you put for something that's going to be producing cash while you're at home, so it's worth it.
Exactly, right? No
Hmm.
brainer.
Hmm.
All
Hmm.
right, so that's awesome. So, okay, so you're making, let's say, just under $1,000. Hopefully, if that more than $1,000 this month. That's pretty successful. Sometimes I know ATM business owners like, well, I don't feel successful yet, but you know what? There's somebody who has no ATMs is successful.
Yeah.
So, how does it feel for you to have a successful ATM business now, like how's that impacted you so far?
Well, it's made me daydream a lot about quitting my job and focusing on the ATM business. I'd be lying if I didn't. So I'm reminding myself that I had a goal that, I was going to work with my employer and I was going to continue doing that so I can finance everything and play the long game as opposed to trying to survive off of it. I want to reinvest it and make sure that I do it correctly. But I mean, it's exactly what I expected and even more. It feels amazing. I don't know. My girl kind of gets mad at me because I'm always checking the app for my transactions and I'm always just keeping track of it. But like I see it kind of like a game because it's just crazy, like to have that location and it's just making money and you don't have to be there. That's the biggest thing. I mean, I can make $1,000 easy, right? But it would require me to do that work physically. Like this is completely different, It's going to feed me forever as long as I take care of my client,
Exactly. Like you and I are talking right now and we're both making money right now.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of it. And I love that you said it's the long game and you're like, I'm daydreaming about quitting my job, but I want to do things the right way. And I wish a lot more people would understand how, I totally get the thing of not liking your job. Like, and you might like your job. I always hated working for somebody else. But when you have that cushion of having that money come in to pay the bills, it makes it so much easier for you to be able to go out there and start building this business stress-free.
Yep.
Stress-free, that's huge. I mean, it took me 3 years. 2009 is when we started our business. 2012 is when I got fired from my job, but I never had to go back again. So that was 3 years for me. I think Daniel, I don't know if you saw him. I think he's in California. I think it was a year for him. So everybody's going to be different. And I actually believe he quit his job before he probably should have. He just wanted to, go out there,
Yeah.
But I love that the way that you're doing it. I wish more people would understand that, hey, appreciate this job while you build this business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way that I'm seeing it is whatever income I make off of the ATMs, it goes right back into the business reinvested. Whatever extra money I earn, I mean, I'm commission based as a salesperson. So I try to be very disciplined with that money because I'll live off of my salary for my bills and, saving and everything for the home. But anything that I get commission wise, any bonuses, I kind of just put it into savings or some sort of investment. Now, instead of investing it in stocks or doing something else, I'm going to put it towards the ATM business because to me, you can buy a machine for, $2,300, 2,500, put cash on it that you always have it rotating. It's always available. It's liquid. And if you find yourself a good spot, give or take, you're going to make at least $300, right? At least, you don't need to do anything crazy. That's a hell of a return on that money. Like,
thank you. See, you're a finance guy. So sometimes I always try to get this through to people sometimes. And I want you to tell them. So if you have a let's say $2,200 ATM. Let's just say 2,000 to make the numbers easier. $2,000 ATM, and just on a low end, it's making you $300 a month, which people don't get excited about $300 a month. Like that doesn't excite them. But tell them what kind of return they're getting on a $2,000 ATM if they're making $300 a month.
So you're looking at more than 15% return if you do it right. Like if you think about it, because a lot of people will say, well, it's 4,500. You're right, but 2,000 of that money is liquid. It's always available. It's not tied up.
Totally agree.
You only really invested 2,500, and you didn't even invest that because you can write it off, and you can depreciate it and take advantage of taxes. So I mean, the return is probably a lot higher, but just to be conservative, I mean, as you know, any kind of investment that gives you 10% is already amazing.
Right.
The stock market has grown, 10% on average, and that's incredible. That's an incredible return. So for us to be able to do that and get that money now, as opposed to the way that I did it, I'll be honest, I'll be the first one to admit it. I had my savings, but I also had my 401k from back in the day when I used to work at a telecommunications company at Verizon. And I had the money there and the money was growing and it was compounding, and that's great to have, but I wasn't going to be able to touch that money until later on in life, right? So COVID was kind of it was a blessing on my end
Oh,
because it gave me access to those funds
which
because of
one?
things that happened in my area. So I was like, you know what? Let's go for it. I dried my account up. I withdrew it. There's no consequence because of what happened, right? Because
Yeah,
I did it correctly and
yeah.
I put that money in and I'm getting that money now as opposed to later, you know?
Good for you. You know, we had another student. He's been a little bit active on a group. Matt. He did the same exact thing. He's like,
Hmm.
because of the COVID thing, like I'm allowed to take this money out, and I'm not going to be penalized for it. He did the
Hmm.
same thing because he's like, I just want to take all this money out and boom, grow this business. You guys are smart. That is so smart.
Just got to take advantage of all the resources, man. When I saw that email come through, I was like, this is a sign. I need to go in all in, you know,
Mhm.
and it's worked out so far, so I'm happy.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I got some funds that I've lent out from my a self-directed IRA, but if I had them back, I would probably do what I needed to do and do the same exact thing. To be
Hmm.
quite honest, you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right, awesome. So let me ask you this. Well, before I ask you this, I was just want to tell you that I think it's awesome that your dad has taught you so much, you know, about having different streams of income, and he's very supportive of what you're doing. I think that's pretty big deal because a lot of folks don't have that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing when he hands you a warm lead. I'll be the first one to admit it. 3 of those locations are because of my dad.
Nice.
Like I'll go and I'll pretty much just say, "Hey, man, where do you want the ATM?" And he's like, "I want it there." Okay, if you want it there, we need to sign this, you know. And it's like a super easy close. So I mean,
That's,
it's a blessing to have that support, and
yeah,
he understands that it's a long game as well, you know. And
great.
he told me, you know, when I wasn't finding a bank, he kept telling me, he's like, just keep looking because this ATM thing is probably the best thing that you've ever thought of. It's about time you figured it out. I was
Oh,
like, all
that's
right, thanks.
awesome. And you did it. Patience and persistence, and you got that bank account.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome,
Yes, sir.
awesome, cool. All right. So, what do you think is the number one reason that you've been so successful with the training?
I just think that just the way that you deliver the information, like I think you're straight to the point. So I like that because you don't tiptoe around what needs to be done. You
Mm-hmm.
set the expectations, you say exactly what needs to be done, and if you just follow the direction, then it's gonna work, right?
Yep.
Um, it doesn't hurt that I'm comfortable talking to people and selling, so that helps. But the direction has been more than I expected. It's been great,
Awesome.
especially with that Facebook group, man. I'll keep saying that again. That Facebook group is incredible.
They're a great group. Super supportive, right?
Hmm.
We're all, of course, I'm supportive, but everybody else is so supportive of one another, right?
Yeah, it's a community. It really is. And
Yeah.
at first, like I remember, I was like, should I put my picture of my ATM placement? I was like, I'm just gonna do it. Everybody else does it, you know. And everybody's legit happy, you know. Everybody's happy for each
Totally.
other, rooting for each other, and it's
Yeah.
there's enough people, there's enough food to feed everybody in the table. There really is.
Exactly. I love that analogy. That's perfect. People
Hmm.
don't realize there is so much opportunity. Yeah, you get all these people. Oh, the ATM business is saturated. Everybody has an ATM.
No, that's
No,
not
there's
true at all.
plenty of opportunity out there. Plenty.
And the thing is that I don't think, and maybe a couple students don't realize this, but a lot of these businesses, when they get approached to put an ATM, some of these companies do it very differently than we do. Some people actually require them to put a pretty large deposit or even have them fill out their own cash as a requirement. It's not even an option to do it the way that we do. So even though they might think that there's a lot of competition out there, there is, but the way that we offer it, it's
Right.
super convenient to the business owner. Like
Exactly.
it's a blessing for them, honestly. That's
It
why,
really is. And I wish a lot of students and even folks that aren't students who are in this business understood how valuable they really are and what an asset they really are to these business owners. Like it's huge.
yeah, I
It
mean,
really is.
that's why I don't budge on that surcharge, man. Unless I really want the spot, then I'll budge. But you
Yeah.
really don't have to because it's just you're providing something that they need. I mean, the
Yeah.
benefit of having it is far outweighed than whatever they're going to make on commissions.
For
You know.
sure, for sure. So what's been your talk about the training, but what's been your favorite thing about the actual your actual ATM business so far?
It's just that residual money. Just I know it's a very boring answer, right? But just having that ability and being able to see that immediate return,
Yeah.
because some businesses take a long time for them to make a profit,
Oh
right?
my gosh, like most.
Yeah.
So
But
if you
this,
look at that one, you're one that makes $477 a month, right? So you paid how much for let's say you paid $2,500 for your machine.
mhm.
After how many months is that paid off? And now this is 100% profit.
Yeah, you're looking at 5 months. 5 months.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's ridiculously amazing.
And if you do it right, I mean, just leverage financing correctly, take advantage of 0% interest,
Yeah.
introductory offers, and
Mm-hmm.
you're essentially borrowing free money to do what you got to do, which is something that me and you talked about in the coaching calls. But just having that immediate return, and I remember the first full month last month was my first full one. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember I looked at my girls like, how much money we made off of the ATMs? And I told her, and even she was like, we really made that much money off of the ATMs? Really? I was like, yeah. Okay, that's pretty good.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. So you're the finance guy. So tell folks, like if you went through finance and school and all that, tell folks, like if you have your normal brick and mortar business, how long does it usually take for folks to make a profit or recoup their investments in general?
Like a small brick and mortar retail place, you'd be lucky to even make a salary in 2 years, 3 years if you're lucky. That's you being blessed. I mean, there's a lot of business owners that will go out there and they'll try to make it and survive off of that and pay their bills while running the business at the same time. And it can be done, but if you do it, you need to make sure you have the savings in place, because whatever revenue you bring in, profit you bring in, you got to put it back into the business. So you're lucky if 2 to 3 years. You're lucky.
Yeah.
Just a general business. Now, when it talks to investments, like just putting money in a 401k, an IRA, or long-term investments in the stock market, unless you're a hell of a day trader and you find the right stock, then I guess. But those returns you're making like dollars on a day, right? Or dollars in a week or a month. Like it takes a very long time, and it's way more risky than what we're doing. Like there's a lot more risk in putting your money in the stock market, personally, I think, because there's a lot of factors that you can't control. Whereas the ATM, the only risk that you have is the business can close, but even then you can pick up the machine and put it somewhere else. It's a physical asset that you have and you can move around.
Exactly. You just gave the perfect explanation, Rudy. Like the stock market, you don't have any control. You have zero control over it. But our ATM business, I try to tell people, there is zero reason that you shouldn't be successful in this business.
Yeah.
You should be successful in this business 100% of the time because you are in complete control. If it doesn't perform well, pick it up and move it.
Yep.
Right? You're always in control of everything, all the moving pieces. So there's no reason you're not successful.
Yeah. I mean, and I'll say it again, you can't get that for that little of investment to get that return and have it to be residual, like that passive residual income, like a vending machine, I guess, but the vending machine is completely different because you have a good that could potentially expire. So you got to keep track of the inventory of this. The bills are not going to go bad, like
there's no expiration date on them.
Yeah. So I mean, it's truly amazing. It really is.
Yeah, nobody's going to take a 20 out of your machine and be like, oh, that's expired. I don't want that one.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, well, let me ask you this. What would you say to someone who might be considering my training? So again, maybe they saw an ad on YouTube. Maybe they don't know me from somebody else. But what would you say to someone who's considering my training and maybe they're on the fence about it?
There's only so much you can learn off of Google and YouTube. It's great. It's a great resource. It's a great way for you to get started and introduced into the idea. But if you really are serious about growing an ATM business, then you got to make that investment. You got to take that time to really get a mentor, get a group of people that have experience. Because if not, you can try to go ahead and wing it, but it's going to cost you a lot more money you winging it.
Money, time, and headaches.
And just think of the benefits that you get. One of the main benefits that may convince me to do it is the contract, for example. I know that contract is going to be expensive. If I were to do it by myself with the lawyer, it would have cost me even more than the training, right? And so getting that is a benefit. Getting access to the vendors that we work with. You dealt with all the vendors. All I have to do is submit the paperwork as opposed to me trying to figure it out. That's huge because I don't got to worry about that. That's less time that's taken. That's more time I can save and focus on ATM locations than I need to than looking for paperwork or looking for a partner to work with. So it's
Exactly.
not real until you decide to make that investment, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And just for, the record, students don't have to use my vendors. I just have them there that I vetted them, and I have them there to make it easy for you guys if you choose to go that route, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
But highly encourage that you do because they make things super simple.
Agreed. Totally agree.
Yeah.
But I don't make anybody do anything they don't want to do. Awesome. So if you had to do everything all over again, would you do it?
Yeah, and I would have done it faster.
Probably sooner.
Yeah. Because I sat on that ad for quite a couple months, maybe about 3-4 months. So, and then I don't know what happened. Another video of yours came up, or you came up on my newsfeed. I was like, oh yeah, I was looking at those videos, and then I clicked on it and started watching them again. And then I had that convo with my dad, and I was like, you know what? I can think about it forever. It's about just doing it, But that's probably the only thing.
Did your dad say, well, you don't know this crazy lady?
He did. I'm not going to lie. He did. And he's like, you need to be very careful. Yeah. He's like, you need to be very careful. But ATM business, that's a great thing, is just be very careful who you do business with. And then I showed him your website. I showed him your picture, your LinkedIn. I was like, she's got to be legit. There's no way that you go through all of this and not legit. Like, you would never make it in the industry. You would never be able to build a business off of it if you weren't.
So does Dad finally think I'm not crazy anymore?
No, he's very excited, and now he's having his ideas of trying to find ways to invest into ATMs and getting his own locations. So
that's awesome.
And even my little brother, he's taken a couple pictures of the ATMs when we go install them, and he's like, man, that's making you money. I was like, yeah. So even he started to pique his interest.
How old is he?
He's 13 years old.
That's awesome.
So it's a great family business being built, That's what it's all about.
Amazing. Awesome. Do you have any final words, anything you want to, words of wisdom, anything you want to tell folks before we hop off of here?
Just go after it. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Maybe I ask too many questions at times, but I figure that if I'm asking it, maybe somebody else has that same question. So join the Facebook group for sure. If you're not in the Facebook group as a student, then you're missing out. Just take that leap. Sometimes you got to take that leap, and it's right now I'm at the beginning phases of this ATM business, but it's already proven to be successful. I'm going to have about above 1,000 hopefully this month. It's only 2.5-3 months in since I've been doing the ATMs, right? So
that's huge, right? That's a big deal right there.
Yeah, it is, and I'm blessed, and I have high expectations for what I want to do. So, it's great, but I know what I'm after. We've talked about it before. The goal I have is 25 ATMs. That's my goal. Hopefully, I can reach that goal by the end of next year, but got to be very aggressive and do the right type of financing. But just go after it. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to get support. And there's people out there that want to help you. It's just about paying attention to what the universe is telling you. So if you see it on your news feed, or if you see it on your videos come up on YouTube, make sure to click it. Sometimes that happens for a reason.
Oh, thanks, Rudy. That was funny. Awesome words of advice, awesome wisdom there. And you know what we're gonna have to do? We're gonna have to do a follow-up when you are halfway to your 25, and then a finale video when you're at your 25. You game for that?
I'm game for that. So far I got 5 installed. I got 3 more pending, so I'm at 8. So
you got
just
3 more pending?
Yeah, I got 3 pending. So it's
you were holding out from us.
Sorry. But hopefully we'll get there by the end of next year, hopefully sooner, but I'm game. I'm game for that update.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Rudy. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you,
Please
Carey.
tell your dad that I said hi.
I will.
And your little brother, and tell him to keep on learning from his big brother.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll let him know.
All right. And hopefully you can make the coaching call tomorrow night, since we're doing this on a Monday night. Hopefully you're there tomorrow night, and you can provide some wisdom to other folks and share your successes, because as you probably know from being on the coaching calls, that's huge to hear other people's successes.
Yeah, it's a motivator. So I'll be there.
All right. Thank you so much, Rudy. You have a great night.
Thank you, Carey. You too.
Thanks.